It's St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
In the past on St. Patrick's Day, we have had like the head coach of Shamrock or the head coach of Dublin or someone like that. Just
the Irish.
You know, the Irish, right? You're doing fun things.
Pay our homage.
Yeah, exactly right. We didn't do that this year. Instead, we are going to talk a little bit about a 4-letter word. And that 4-letter word is luck.
Luck.
And no, I don't mean it rhymes with luck. I mean
it is
it's
actually luck.
And I say it's a 4-letter word because I think that there are some people that when I say that a team got lucky, that means that I'm somehow demeaning what they did.
Yeah, degrading them a little bit.
Degrading them a little bit, right? In the sense that you're saying, oh, well, they got lucky. I think if you talk to any coach in football, any coach in sports, they would tell you that to win a championship or to succeed, you got to be good, right? I don't think there's any doubt about that. You got to have some talent. You got to be disciplined, right? You got to follow your game plans, things like that. But you also need to have a little bit of luck. Like that's not saying. Let's go back to North Shore beating Duncanville in the 2018 title. Okay, North Shore beating Duncanville. There is obviously an incredible amount of skill that went into the Hail Mary.
Yes.
There's also a little bit of luck in the sense that a Duncanville player mistimed his swipe, right? Things like that.
I think when a game is competitive and has been played to its fullest, that's when luck starts coming into play. Like, you're not going to win by 21 points and anyone is ever going to consider it luck.
Right.
You know,
exactly
like,
right.
especially even if it's the underdog. Say a team that has 0 wins on the season, they beat someone by 15 points, 16 points, whatever. It's not luck at that point. They just outplayed you.
I think, and what's funny is I think we've gotten away from using the word luck because we'll use the word like they caught a break.
Yeah.
Or they catch some breaks. But what we're talking about is luck there.
Yeah.
And there is one particular place in which luck is it's very clearly the only thing that's going on here. And that is on fumbles. Okay, so hear me out. If you take a look, like when the ball hits the turf, it is basically a 50-50 shot to recover that ball. It is essentially all luck. Recovering, like, let me be very clear about this because I this can get misconstrued sometimes. Forcing fumbles
is not luck.
Is a skill.
Yes.
Ball security is a skill.
Yes.
All of those things. There are teams that do not fumble very much. There are teams that fumble a lot. There are teams that force a ton of fumbles.
Yeah.
That is all skill. I'm not talking about getting the ball out of their hands.
We're talking about the ball rolling down the field up for anyone to grab it.
Once it hits the turf, once an oblong ball hits the turf.
It's an elliptical spheroid.
It's really, there you go. It is essentially anybody's ballgame. Now, look, there's a little bit of variance here. For example, if you fumble the ball, and this is across all college football this past year, all FBS college football, if you fumble the ball, you have a 52% chance of recovering it.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense because it left your hand last. You theoretically should be the closest to the ball. Okay.
Yes. If the opponent fumbles it, then it's 47.8. You know what I mean? So there is a little bit of that. In the sense, and you can imagine how maybe that happens is like you fumble the snap and you fall right back on it. You have a little bit more of an advantage in instances like that. But essentially, when the ball hits the turf, it's anybody's ball game. Which means that if you recovered a lot of fumbles, like if you recovered a high percentage of fumbles, you got kind of lucky. And if you recovered a low percentage of fumbles, then you were pretty unlucky.
Rob Hadaway literally put it best. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to put that.
Right. And so for me, when you're talking about fumbles, that is a pure, essentially like a coin flip, right? It's a coin flip. And so I took a look at the numbers across all of FBS college football, and we're going to look at which of the 12 FBS teams in the state were the luckiest when it came to fumbles in 2022. Would you believe it?
I hadn't even really looked at the graphic, man.
The North Texas Mean Green were, according to fumble recovery rate, they had the highest fumble recovery rate in 2021. And part of that is that, yes, they recovered more than half of their opponent fumbles, but they also recovered 71% of their own fumbles. Mm-hmm. That's extremely lucky. They put the ball on the turf 14 times. They only lost 4 of them.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Well, impressive in the fact of quit fumbling the ball.
Right. UTSA is second. UTSA recovered 56% of their opponent's fumbles, which is really what buoys their number here. They were 56% of their opponent's fumbles. Then we get to Houston at number 3. Houston recovered 56.3% of all their fumbles, okay? But here's what's remarkable about Houston. Houston actually only recovered 40% of the times that their opponent put the ball on the turf. Only 40%.
Wow.
Okay? 8 out of 20. But here's the thing. They were number 1 in the nation at recovering their own fumbles. Number 1. So when they put the ball on the turf, they got on it. They put the ball on the turf 12 times. They only lost 2 of them. That is pretty lucky.
Yeah.
When you're talking like that. Texas is next, 56%. As from a holistic perspective, if you're talking about where they rank like nationally, Texas comes in at number. No, I was sorting by another place. Texas comes in at number 31. Houston's number 30. Texas is number 31. Next up is TCU. TCU is pretty remarkable. They're 50%, and here's the amazing thing. They recovered 50% of their own fumbles. They recovered 50% of their opponent fumbles. They're right, dead set, right in the middle.
And realistically, it sounds bad to let that many of them go, but that's a good place to be in.
Yeah.
If you can coin flip your own fumbles, that's not a terrible place to be in.
Exactly right. They recovered 3 of their opponent's 6 fumbles. They recovered 10 of their own 20 fumbles. I believe that's the case. So there's that. They're next. Then you get to teams that were quote-unquote unlucky. So those are the teams that you could say were lucky or were neutral. A&M's next. A&M could not, for the life of them, recover an opponent's fumble. They only got 33% of their opponent's fumbles. They were pretty unlucky. Baylor's next at 45.7%. UTEP next on that list. Texas State recovered half of their own fumbles, but only got 40% of their opponent's fumbles, 44.7%. Rice is next. Rice was pretty unlucky, especially on when they're recovering opponents' fumbles, but that will pale in comparison to one good. So then you get to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Get to the bottom. The second unluckiest team in the state was Texas Tech, and this is incredible. Texas Tech, as far as their own fumbles, they only remember that you should recover a few more of your fumbles than you lose, right?
Yes.
52%.
Theoretically.
They recovered a quarter of their own fumbles.
Wow. They
were second to last in the nation in recovering their own fumbles. They lost 9 of their 12 fumbles.
Goodness.
That is unlucky.
That is telling of a season, too.
There's no other way to put it. That is unlucky. And then there's a team that was the unluckiest team in the nation, or not the unluckiest team in the nation, but the unluckiest team in Texas, and that was SMU. And SMU recovered 45% of their opponent's fumbles, or I'm sorry, their own fumbles. They recovered only 26% of their opponent fumbles, 5 of 19. Okay, so if you're interested in so overall, if you take a look at if you're ranking it overall, SMU was out of 130 FBS teams, they ranked 126th in fumble luck. They were extremely unlucky. If you're interested, the luckiest team in the nation was Cal. Cal recovered 70% of all fumbles.
Well, that came out of left field.
They recovered 70% of their own fumbles. In fact, the top 3 were Cal, Louisiana Lafayette, and Army. Now, I have a theory about Army.
Mm-hmm. They're moving so compact.
Army, because of the offense that they run, I think that they don't, because of the just the way that they don't have a lot of open field fumbles.
Mm-mm.
And so I think that they recover a lot of their own fumbles, and that bears out in the numbers.
Yeah, there's 3 guys always in a triangle together that kind of you have. Yeah,
them.
You're making your own luck at that point.
Correct. The unluckiest team in college football in 2021, North Carolina State. North Carolina State recovered 23% of all fumbles in their games. Okay? Now, here's the amazing thing. They were actually, as far as recovering their own fumbles, it was bad, but it was 37.5%. their opponents fumbled 9 times. They got 1 of them.
Man.
Think about that. Think about the ball bouncing around on the turf.
And you can only pick up one of them.
1 time.
Oh, man, I can't even imagine
super
how frustrating that is.
Anyway, there's a look at the fumble recovery rate, the luckiest and unluckiest teams in Texas in 2021.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.